જીવે સાક્ષર મુક્ત કોટિ સુખદમ નૈકાવતારાધિપમ જ્ઞેયમ શ્રી પુરુષોત્તમં મુનિવરૈર વેદાધિકીર્ત્યમ વિભુમ તન્મૂલાક્ષરયુક્તમેવ સહજા નંદમ ચ વંદે સદા. સ્વામિના હરે ગઢડા મધ્ય 23 લુક તથા હિમનું વચનામૃત. સ્વામિના હરે સંવત 1878ના જ્યેષ્ઠ સુધી એકાદશીને દિવસ સ્વામી શ્રી સહજાનજી મહારાજ શ્રી ગઢડા મધ્યે દાદા ખચના દરબારમાં શ્રી વાસુદેવ નારાયણના મંદિરની આગળ વિરાજમાન હતા ને મસ્તક ઉપર દોરી પાગ બાંધી હતી ને દોરો ખેસ પહેર્યો હતો ને દોરી ચાદર ઓઢી હતી ને પોતાના મુખારવિંદની આગળ મુનિ તથા દેશ દેશના હરિભક્તની સભા ભરાઈને બેઠી હતી. પછી શ્રીજી મહારાજ એમ બોલ્યા છે, આજ તો અમે મનનું રૂપ વિચારી જોયું. તે મન જીવ થકી જુદું ન દેખાયું. મન તો જીવની જ કોઈક કિરણ છે, પણ જીવ થકી જુદું નથી. અને મનનું રૂપ તો એવું દેખાયું છે જેમ ઉનાળામાં લુક હોય તથા જેમ શિયાળામાં હિમ હોય તેવું મનનું રૂપ દેખાયું. અને જેમ માણસના દેહમાં લુક પેસે તથા હિમ પેસે ત્યારે તે માણસ મરી જાય છે, તેમ એ મન ઇન્દ્રિયો દ્વારે થઈને જ્યારે વિષય સન્મુખ જાય છે ત્યારે તે વિષય જો દુઃખદાયી હોય તો મન તપીને ઉનાળાની લુક જેવું થાય છે. અને જો તે વિષય જો સુખદાયક હોય તો તેને વિશે મન શિયાળાના હિમ જેવું થાય છે. તે જ્યારે દુઃખદાયી વિષયને ભોગવીને લુક સરખું ઊનું થઈને જીવના હૃદયમાં પેસે છે ત્યારે જીવને અતિશય દુખ્યો કરીને કલ્યાણના માર્ગમાંથી પાડી નાખે છે. એ રીતે લુક લાગીને મરે તેમ જાણવું. અને જ્યારે એ મન સુખદાયી વિષયમાં સુખને ભોગવે ત્યારે ટાઢું હિમ સરખું થઈને જીવના હૃદયમાં પેસે છે અને જીવને સુખ્યો કરીને કલ્યાણના માર્ગમાંથી પાડી નાખે છે. એ તો હિમારાનો વા આવે ને મરે તેમ જાણવું. માટે જેનું મન વિષયને દેખીને તપે પણ નહીં અને સારા વિષયને દેખીને ટાઢું પણ થાય નહીં, એવી રીતે જેનું મન અવિકારી રહેતું હોય તેને પરમ ભાગવત સંત જાણવા. અને એવું મન થવું એ કંઈ થોડી વાત નથી. અને મનનો તો કેવો સ્વભાવ છે, તો જેમ બાળક હોય તે સર્પને, અગ્નિને તથા ઉગાડી તલવારને જાળવા જાય તે તો જાળવા ન દઈએ તો પણ દુઃખી થાય, અને જો જાળવા દઈએ તો પણ દુઃખી થાય. તેમ જો મનને વિશેષ ભોગવવા ન દઈએ તો પણ દુઃખી થાય, ને જો ભોગવવા દઈએ તો પણ વિમુખ થઈને અતિશય દુઃખી થાય. માટે જેનું મન ભગવાનને વિશે આસક્ત થયું છે ને વિષયને ભોગવે કરીને વિષયને યોગ્ય કરીને ટાઢું ઊનું થતું નથી, તેને જ સાધુ જાણવા. ઇતિ વચનામૃતમ ગઢડા મધ્ય 23 સમાપ્તમ. સહજાનંદ સ્વામી મહારાજની જય.
Else can read?
So this is Ghadhada, Madhyanu 23mu, heat and frost. On the Jesudi 11, Samvat 1878, that is 3rd May 1882, Swami Sri Sajananji Maharaj. 31st May 1822. Swami Sri Sajananji Maharaj was sitting in front of the mandir of Sri Vasudev Narayan in Dada Khacher's Darbar in Ghadhada. He was wearing a white casque and had also covered himself with a white cotton cloth. He had also tied a white pag around his head. At that time, an assembly of munis as well as devotees from various places had gathered before him. Thereupon, Sriji Maharaj said, "Today I pondered over the nature of the mind. It appears that the mind is not separate from the jiv. That is, it is a reflection of the jiv itself, but not separate from it. I also observed that the nature of the mind is like the heat of the summer and the frost of winter. Just as a person can die from heat or frost, similarly, when the mind travels towards the visayas via the indriyas, it, if those visayas are full of miseries, the mind becomes hot, like the heat of summer. And if those visayas are pleasurable, then the mind becomes cold, like the frost of winter. Especially when the mind, having indulged in those visayas, which are full of miseries, and having become hot, like the scorching winds of summer heat, enters a person's heart, it makes the person extremely miserable and forces him to fall from the path of liberation. Such a person should be known to have died from the effect of heat. When the mind, having indulged in the pleasure of those visayas that are full of happiness and having become cold like frost, enters a person's heart, it makes that person complacent, thus causing him to fall from the path of liberation. He should be known to have died due to frost. However, one whose mind remains unmoved, that is, it does not become hot upon experiencing repulsive visayas, and does not become cold upon experiencing pleasurable visayas, should be known as a Param Bhagavat Sant. But indeed, it is no small feat to cultivate one's mind in this manner. However,
A line over A, it's called Param Bhagavat Sant.
oh, Param Bhagavat Sant.
That line on the top says double A.
Double A. Okay, Param Bhagavat Sant. So, moreover, the mind is like a child. If a child attempts to grasp a snake or touch a flame or perhaps hold an unsheathed sword, it becomes upset when it is not allowed to do so. And even if it is allowed to do so, it will hurt itself. Similarly, if the mind is not allowed to indulge in the visayas, it becomes upset. And if it is allowed to indulge in them, it turns away from God and thus becomes extremely miserable. Therefore, only one whose mind had craving for God and which becomes neither hot or cold by the visayas should be known as a sadhu. This is Ittisim Vachanamrutam. Sajanand Swami Maharaj ni Jai.
So this Vachanamrut is written on Vikram Samvat 1878, 11th day, which is Ekadashi, on the bright half of the month Jyesht. Jyesht Sudhi Ekadashi. It was the hot month, The month is really hot in India, But does this day have anything special? Yes. चतुर्मास पहला नहीं. અષાઢ મહિનાથી ચતુર્માસ ચાલુ થાય ને. Did we do this Ekadashi when this time? In Jet, Shuddha Ekadashi? And what do they call that Ekadashi?
We actually did the morning Sabha on this.
Bhim Ekadashi.
We have 3 Vachanamrut with the
Bhim Ekadashi. The story of Bhim Ekadashi everybody knows? Bhim Ekadashi story ખબર છે? નથી ખબર? Story of Bhim Ekadashi. ખરેખર ખબર છે? Yeah. So the story goes in the time of Pandavas, 5 brothers, Lord Krishna, that there were 100 brothers on one side and 5 brothers on the other side. 5 brothers were with Lord Krishna. These 100 brothers were jealous of these 5 brothers. Among the 5 brothers, Bhim was the strongest person. And all 100 brothers were feared, that if he is alive, we will be in trouble. So they made a plan to kill him. 100 brothers made a plan to kill Bhim. What was the Bhim's weakness? Sweet, laddu. He likes sweets, laddu. So they put poison in the laddu. And they decided to take him to the river, Jamna river, so that they can push him. After he eats the laddu and he is poisoned, then they would push him into the river. So he will be lost. So they decided a day, and that day was Ekadashi. Now, they prepared all this laddu day before Ekadashi and planned everything. On this day, Kunta Mata, mother of Bhim, tells him that tomorrow is Ekadashi and we are all going to do without water. No food, no water. Bhim says, it's too bad, I cannot live. I need food, I need water. Mother says, no, this time you have to do it. I love you, you love me. So, take up my promise that you will do Ekadashi. So he says, okay, I will try. He did not promise. He said, I will try. So from the morning, no water, no food. So up to afternoon, he was working hard, he was fighting. But then he felt that I will not get any food at home, so let me get out. Let me go outside. So he went outside and these 100 brothers said, we have a nice picnic today, Do you want to join? Now he got a bad company, right? So he said, let me see, So they took him to the river. And there they had a big basket of all these sweets, So he could not control. So he started eating. And they were happy because they were poisoned, So he overate because he did not eat the breakfast, he did not eat the lunch. It was like 3 o'clock, so he had empty stomach, so he overate, So now these guys are waiting for him to faint so they can push him into the river. So they took him to the edge of the river. There was a big rock, On top of that, there was a river underneath. They were going to throw him under the river, So they took him to the river, and then he started dizzying, and he just became unconscious, So now, and he was getting mad, that what are you doing to me, Something you have done to me, So he figured out, that they have planned this thing. So if he would have listened to his mother, he would have been okay, no problem. Now he was unconscious, and right on the tip of the rock, So, but nobody wants to go close to him. They were all afraid, that if somebody goes close, he would grab and throw that person into the river rather than they can push. So the big guy, Dushashan, the brother of Duryodhan, and Duryodhan, they both decided that we will go and push. And everybody joined, So they all joined, And both pushed him and he fell down in the river. But by the grace, he was half of iron, Vajra. And he was another half was common body, So by the grace, he fell down on the Vajra side, iron side. And with his weight and everything, he went into the river and he broke the ground of the river and went all the way down to the another abode where the snakes and the king of snakes was residing. And when those people saw, they brought him to the king of snakes, and he was very handsome and very strong. So they had the technique of removing the poison. So they remove the poison and make him awake. And when he woke up, he says, where am I, Who are you, And the king says that somebody had poisoned you and we depoisoned you, and you are our guest. So you are welcome to stay here as long as you want to, And there was a girl, a daughter of that king, and she liked him. And then they got, married. And because of that, she had a son. His name was Barbaric, Babrik, very strong son, But then he came back, with a lot of jewelries and a lot of other things, as gifts, and came back. So when all these 100 brothers saw, they say, what happened? He was supposed to be dead. He came back, But now, because he had half side made of iron, this the snake king had a power, he made the whole body of Vajra, unbreakable, unbeatable, So he came with stronger now condition. He came with a lot of wealth. So those people became more jealous that there is no way we can kill him now. So on that memory, it is called Bhim Ekadashi. But we are not supposed to eat, we are supposed to fast. So Bhim Ekadashi is very famous. In India, a lot of people do it without water, Yeah. So this Vachanamrut is written on that day, of Bhim Ekadashi. It is very hot during that month because the month is 31st of May. Very hot, right? Yeah. So Swaminarayan Bhagavan was sitting in Ghadhada, in the palace of Dada Khachar, in Vasudev Narayan's mandir, and there is a story about that mandir also, Vasudev Narayan mandir. We have told that story, right? આપણે વાત કરી છે ને વાસુદેવ નારાયણ મંદિરની, how that mandir formed. Nobody is nodding the head. Nobody knows. Swaminarayan Bhagavan used to stay at the Dada Khachar's palace. Dada Khachar's father passed away, Abel Khachar. And Dada Khachar's two sisters, they were married, but they decided to become celibate. They quit the marriage tie and they came back to Dada Khachar's palace to serve God, So they would cook food and they would prepare all this, arrangements for Swaminarayan Bhagavan, And they had so much tie and so much affection towards God. And they knew that this is God, So when Swaminarayan Bhagavan would go out of town, they would feel empty. They would feel depressed. They would feel unhappy. They were crying, saying that please don't go, stay here and we will serve you food and everything. Bhagavan says, I have not come here from Akshardham just to eat the food, I have to go to so many places, different places. So Bhagavan found another solution. He says that when I am gone, I will make an idol of me, which we will call Vasudev Narayan. And you provide the food and everything, and you will get satisfaction that as if you have fed me, you will feel that way. So Swaminarayan Bhagavan made one room as a mandir, and there he had Vasudev Narayan. Why Vasudev Narayan and why not Swami Narayan? No?
I think at that time they were more believing in Krishna.
Their all belief was of the God who was 5,000 years ago, Krishna Bhagavan. Second thing is that their guru before Swaminarayan Bhagavan came was Ramanand Swami. And Ramanand Swami had come from Shvetdip, the abode of Vasudeva Narayan. So Swaminarayan Bhagavan created Vasudeva Narayan, which would be more intimacy, where you have come from, right? So Laduba, Jiyuba, they were all, from those abodes, But this time the opportunity was to go even higher than Shvetdip, Vasudev Narayan's abode, to go to Akshardham, So they were in tune with Swaminarayan Bhagavan, so they can elevate to the higher level. So Bhagavan, when he established Vasudev Narayan, they were happy. So if they were happy, then Bhagavan did not have to put Swaminarayan, right? But if they would have said that, no, we want yours, then would have been different story. Yes, beta. So, they have a mandir called Vasudev Narayan Mandir, and there Swaminarayan Bhagavan was sitting with white turban, white case, and he had covered himself with a white cotton cloth. He had also tied a white pag around his head. Everything is white. Now you know the story why white. Everybody knows why white. ભગવાન ધોળા ખેસ ને ધોળી ચાદર ને ધોળો ખેસ ને બધું કેમ પહેરતા હતા બેટા? ખબર છે? પ્રિય. That was his favorite. So today who has all white today? Those two people have all white. Kiran Ben and Kusum Aunty, right? Masa is half white, eh? There is a story for that also. That when Swaminarayan Bhagavan had built the temples, he had assigned the saints to do all the seva of the idols of Bhagavans, in different temples, And even so many towns, they have small mandirs also, that they had saints, saffron cloth saints, they were doing seva, which was okay. But some of these saints in saffron cloth were made from low caste. There were over 3,000 saints, Swaminarayan Bhagavan made, right? So some of were from the lower caste. Now, in a town, if a lower caste saint is doing this puja, and people find out that this guy is from the neighboring town, and he's from the low caste, then some people were unhappy, and saying that Swaminarayan Bhagavan is diluting the purity. The higher caste, Brahmins and higher caste should do that, not the lower caste. That was the system at that time. Just like we have mandir here, right? So anybody at the night time, puts on the covering and other thing, right? But 200 years ago, that was not okay. Only certain people can do that. Mainly Brahmins, higher caste, So some of those jealous people, they started complaining, saying that your belief is confusing, your belief is not good, You are allowing anybody to do this seva, this service, which is not acceptable according to the scriptures. So Swaminarayan Bhagavan says, the caste system is going away soon. Our caste is, whoever is the devotee of God, is the highest caste. And whoever is not devotee of God and jealous of God, then even though he is a higher caste, he is not good. But how to convince this whole system? So, Swaminarayan Bhagavan himself said, I am from the higher caste. I am from Brahmin caste. Those who are in the lower caste, they cannot have saffron clothes. They put on the white clothes, So he says, we will make this distinguished difference, Those who are in the, white clothes, they will not do the puja in the mandirs, Even today, those who are higher caste, they put on white clothes also and do the puja, which is okay. But at that time, Bhagavan even went one step further, saying that only the saints would do the puja, with saffron clothes. So then everybody was fine, But how to elevate this understanding? So Swaminarayan Bhagavan told his younger brother, Icharambai, that you take another body in the lower caste. So he died, he passed away in the presence of Swaminarayan Bhagavan. And what was his son's name? Ram Pratap Bhai was his elder brother, the son of Icharam Bhai. What was his name? Somebody should know. Raghuvirji Maharaj. Google. He was the Acharya, right? So Icharam Bhai passed away by the wish of God and took a birth at the low caste family. And what was he? Jagaswami. He came as Jagaswami. And then Gunatitanand Swami accepted Jagaswami as the very learned, very highest devotee. That is the second generation now. Swaminarayan Bhagavan generation was one. Now the second generation was Gunatitanand Swami's generation. There Jagaswami became the very elevated saint. But in what color cloth? White clothes. So that's why you can see Jagaswami in white clothes, because he was from the lower caste. Yeah. Initially, when they make a saint, initially they are in the white clothes and then they go into saffron clothes. Yeah. But before that, Swaminarayan Bhagavan himself said, I will also put on the white clothes to support the lower caste and to be with them, So then on, Bhagavan was putting on white clothes most of the time. So Bhagavan he was wearing a white case and had covered himself with a white cotton cloth. He had also tied a white pag around his head. At that time, an assembly of munis as well as devotees from various places had gathered before him. In this Vachanamrut, there is no question answer. The whole Vachanamrut is just Bhagavan is making a clear statement, explanation, of mind, What is the nature of mind, And it is very unique. This is very unique, Nowhere in the scriptures this kind of description of mind is written, So let us read. Thereupon Sriji Maharaj said, "Today I pondered over the nature of the mind." આજ તો અમે મનનું રૂપ વિચારી જોયું. We all know we have mind, right? We all have mind. Right? આપણે બધાને મન તો છે ને? Right? Right? Yeah. So what is mind, Now I say, I have glasses, right? These are my glasses. So I can analyze my glasses, right? I can analyze my hand. I can analyze my head. Same way, I can analyze my mind, right? And what is mind? મન કોને કહેવાય? મન કોને કહેવાય? મન વિશે તો આપણે બધું ઘણું સાંભળ્યું છે ને? We have heard a lot about mind, right? મન કોને કહેવાય? No, ego is a quality. Ego is another faculty,
જાતના વિચાર કરે મન કહીએ છીએ એવું આ વચનામૃત.
In English language, all those four things are called one thing, Mind, intellect, chit, and ego, they're all one thing called mind, In this Hinduism, it is separated with their different functions, So mind is related with the whatever you repeatedly think within yourself, it is called mind, When you are hungry, you say, I want to eat, I want to eat, I want to eat, I want to eat. That portion is mind, So, mind is a filing clerk, Now, when mind says, I want to eat, but there are thousands of different varieties of food, right? Which are all stored in mind. Right. So the mind has all this information. But if mind says, I want to eat pizza, then mind will focus on pizza. Mind says, I want to eat taco, then mind will focus on taco. So, whatever is repeatedly happening within ourselves is mind, Whatever we are interested in worldly things is mind, So, Bhagavan says that today I pondered over the nature of the mind. What is the relationship of mind within ourselves, right? Just like hand has a relationship, right? It is attached, its function is to, do activities, put things in the mouth, etc., right? Yeah. Even if we are in the dark room, there is no light, and you are served with the dish of food, and you pick up the item from the dish, where would that hand feed? In the ear? In the eyes? In the nose? Naturally in the mouth, right? It is dark. You don't know where it is, going. But it will go to the mouth, right? So function of hand is to put food in the mouth. Even little baby newborn baby, right? Knows how to use the hand, right? Yeah. So Bhagavan is saying that what is the nature of mind? Just like nature of hand, what is the nature of mind? Then Bhagavan says, it appears that mind is not separate from the jiv. શું કહે છે? મન તો જીવની જ કોઈ કિરણ છે, પણ જીવ થકી જુદું નથી. It appears that mind is not separate from the soul, jiv. That is, it is a reflection of the jiv itself, but not separate from it. Just like this light bulb, The light comes from the bulb, right? So, the light which comes from the bulb is mind. And the bulb itself is soul. But if we have the red light bulb, then the light will come red. If it is green, then it will come green. Blue, it will come blue, The bulb is there, same. But if you color it, then the color changes, Same way, everybody has a soul, but everybody's soul's reflections are different. Somebody would have anger reflection. Somebody would have lust reflection. Somebody would have greed reflection. Somebody would have ego reflection, all that, So Bhagavan is saying that it appears, Bhagavan says it's not all the time that, but it appears that the mind is not separate from the soul. That is, it is a reflection of the soul itself, but not separate from it. So there is a tie between the soul and the mind. As long as the soul is in the body, then there is a mind in the body. When a person dies, soul is gone. So is mind. Mind is also gone, right? Intellect is also gone. Ego is also gone. Chitta is also gone, right? So between soul and mind there is some tie. But between soul and the hand, it's a different tie. Right? The person dies, hand does not disappear, right? Hand is still there. But hand cannot lift up now. Hand cannot move. So the connection between the brain and the hand is mind. In some definition, But if person is dead, then the mind is also gone. So these two things are related with each other. So it's, Bhagavan says that, but not separate from the soul. I also observed that the nature of the mind is like heat of summer and the frost of winter. Now this is the example Bhagavan wants to give so we understand a little bit easily, The nature of mind is like either too hot or too cold. But that does not mean that too hot means it is 200 degrees Fahrenheit and too cold is like, 0 degrees Fahrenheit, But there are series of these different temperature gradients, How Bhagavan is explaining? That if a person is upset for something, then he feels hurt. He feels uneasy, uncomfortable, right? And that time the mind is like a heat of summer. But there is a varieties of heat, Some person may be upset only at 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Some would be 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Some would be 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Some would be 110, right? દરેકની ગરમી, ગુસ્સો આવે તો એ ગરમી થોડી ઓછી હોય, વધારે હોય, એવું બને ને? તમારી દીકરીની કેટલી ગરમી બા? શાંત છે. સારું. ચકલી બરોબર છે. She calls her daughter as sparrow. ચકલી. Sparrow. હર્ષાબેન for her is sparrow. હે? ખુલાસા નહીં કરવાના. Says don't open up the cigarette. But the point is that mind gets hot at a different level for different people, Or when mind likes something good, then it is cold, Nice ice cream, temperature mind, and then ice and cold ice and all that, So it's on the other extreme also, But Swamnath Bhagavan is saying that both these conditions are related with the worldly objects and not the God. So, Bhagavan is going further now. I also observed that the nature of the mind is like the heat of summer and the frost of winter. Just as a person can die from heat, extreme heat, a person can die. Or die from frost. Similarly, when the mind travels towards the Vishayas, towards the sense objects, via the Indriyas, via our senses, You need eye to see something, to get something, right? So, the object is the outside thing. Eye is first slave, says, okay, it's good. Then hand and feet goes there and grabs it, right? And now takes it. Bhim did that, right? He took the poisonous sweets, right? First his eyes, then his legs, then his hands, then mouth, and went down, And that was very nice. It was sweet, laddu, he enjoyed, But it was poisonous. It was troublemaker, So Bhagavan is saying, when the mind travels towards the Vishayas, via the Indriyas, if those Vishayas are full of miseries, the mind becomes hot. If they are creating problems, then the mind becomes hot, like the heat of summer. And if those Vishayas are pleasurable, then mind becomes cold, like the frost of winter. Specifically, when the mind having indulged in those Vishayas, those sense objects, which are full of misery, and having become hot like the scorching winds of summer heat, enters a person's heart, it makes the person extremely miserable and forces him to fall from the path of liberation. What happens? His path of liberation, he falls down because he is now trapped because of this attachment. But he does not know. He likes it. He enjoys it. Right? But he falls from the path of liberation. Such a person should be known to have died from the effects of heat. He is not totally dead, but it is the roadway to the death, that he has gotten angry, he has gotten upset, now he is mad, and he's going to do something to himself or to his family and all that, right? If he has a gun, he may kill somebody or he may kill himself. If he has a sword, he will cut off the head of somebody or his own head, right? Because he is now under extreme heat, He is unhappy. So that's one end, So he falls from the path of liberation. Such a person should be known to have died from the effect of heat. Now on the other hand, when the mind having indulged in the pleasures of those Vishayas that are full of happiness and having become cold like frost, enters a person's heart, it makes the person complacent, thus causing him to fall from the path of liberation. If somebody finds all these good amenities and all these good things, now does not have time for satsang, right? Kakaji used to say that we have blessed so many, those who did not have child, we blessed, now they have a boy. Now they are so busy with the boy, they don't come to the satsang. So that is this cold effect, If they have problem with the business, and Kakaji said, we bless. So now the business booms, Now they are day and night busy there, They have no time, to come to satsang. Right? So that is again frost. They like it, they enjoy it, But they have fallen down from the pathway of satsang, So Maharaj says, it makes the person complacent, thus causing him to fall from the path of liberation. He should be known to have died due to frost. Now Bhagavan is saying, how about a Gunatit saint? How does he take these two actions? Because Gunatit saint has two eyes, he sees the object also, right? But how does he treat that? However, one whose mind remains unmoved, that is, it does not become hot upon experiencing repulsive Vishayas and does not become cold upon experiencing pleasurable Vishayas, should be known as Param Bhagavat Sant. But indeed, it is no small feat to cultivate one's mind in this manner. It is not easy that everybody can have that way, right? Because when the test comes, we fail, right? The real exam comes, we fail, right? But there was one devotee in times of Swaminarayan Bhagavan, we know the story, that he was from Vagari Kom, lower caste. They were poor, Sagaram Vagari. And they were going from one town to another town, and the husband was ahead, wife was behind, and husband saw a golden ornament on the road. And he said, I am devotee, And Swaminarayan Bhagavan says, I should not touch or take somebody's possession, no matter how valuable it is. So he was strong. But then he worried about his wife, that she would like this, This is gold. So how can I help her? So with the leg, with his foot, he just covered that ornament, Now when he was covering, divinity was making sure that she looks that what he is doing, right? If she would have been looking somewhere else, then story would be over, right? But exactly when he was covering with his foot, his wife was maybe 20 feet behind. She saw that he did something. He tried to cover. And then he kept walking. His wife kept walking. When they came to the tree shadow, then they both stayed there, So wife says, what were you doing there, What were you covering? So then he smiled, Eh? So he was smiling. And then he says, it was a golden ornament. And our Swaminarayan Bhagavan has said not to touch. So I was strong, So I thought that I will help you. So if I cover it, then you will not see it, and you will be okay also. And what did she say? That you threw dirt on top of dirt. You threw the dirt on top of golden ornament was also a dirt to me. No value to me. She was even more elevated, right? But that happens because of the satsang. That happens because of our sincerity. Right? That happens because our mind is now not our mind. It belongs to God. Right? Then it happens. Otherwise, if our mind is polluted, little bit, they say, okay, I'll take this one, sell it, and I'll have 50-50 with God, Right? No. It's up to you. What level you are, that's how you do it,
પછી એને મને કહ્યું કે ડેડી આ પૈસા મેં મૂક્યા છે કે મને મળ્યા હતા તમે કે સત્સંગમાં મૂકી દીધા એટલે આપણે મહાપુર જવા કીધું અતિ ત્યાગ છે.
So as long as our mind is strong, then it's okay. Right? But there is no guarantee of mind. Right?
Let's go to the store and buy something from it.
But he is from good family, so he did not.
No, good satsang.
Good satsang.
Pintu going, Amit bhai.
So Bhagavan is saying, however, one whose mind remains unmoved, that is, it does not become hot upon experiencing repulsive vishayas and does not become cold upon experiencing pleasurable vishayas, should be known as Param Bhagavat Sant. But indeed, it is no small feat to cultivate one's mind in this manner. Bhagavan says it is a big task, But if we say that in last 1 hour, we started our, Vachanamrut discourse about 1 hour ago, right? About an hour ago, right? In last 1 hour, who would say that their mind was not moved and they were not experiencing hot and cold feelings? in 1 hour, who would say in this gathering, કોને છેલ્લા 1 કલાકમાં ગુસ્સો નથી આવ્યો અને કોને 1 કલાકમાં બીજું કંઈક મજા કરવાનું મન નથી થયું? હે?
મને કલાકમાં ગુસ્સો નહીં.
યુ આર પરમ ભાગવત સંત.
ના
સ્વામિનારાયણ ભગવાન છે રાઈટ બેટા?
મંદિરમાં આવ્યા તમારી સાથે હતા એ જ ને.
પણ ભગવાન says, that if the mind is not hot and not cold and remains unmoved, then you are Param Bhagavat Sant. So now we have to extend 1 hour to 2 hours, 2 hours to 4 hours, 4 hours to 8 hours, 8 hours to 16 hours, 16 hours to 24 hours, right? Then whole day we could be like this. If we can do it for 1 hour, then we can do it for more, right? Then if you are good for 1 day, then you can do it for 2 days and 4 days and 8 days and 16 days and 32, 64, 128, 256, 365, right? A whole year. When was your mind moved? How long ago? It was angry or it was cold? When? How long ago?
ચોક પરથી આવ્યો તે ઘડીએ હતું એવું.
કેવું હતું? ઠંડુ કે ગરમ?
ના ગરમ.
ગરમ હતું.
જમવાનું કેમ નહીં બનાવે? હું બનાવું છે જે છે મને તું આપી દે. કે ના હું બનાવું એ જ તું ખા. એના હિસાબે સર બોલે બીજું કશું કોઈ હતું જ નહીં. છોકરા બંને સત્સંગમાં હતા. હું 2 જણ ગયા. પછી મને ખુરશી બિહારી રાખ્યો. હું મને જે કાલનું હોય એ તું આપી દે. કે ના હું બનાવું છું એ જ તું ખા.
કેટલો બધો પ્રેમ, કેટલો બધો પ્રેમ.
રહેવાય ઘરમાં આવું ભૂખ્યો થઈ ગયો.
પછી પેટ મોટું થશે ગુરુ. પેટ મોટું કરવું છે? તું કરી હતી?
એ ખાવા બનાવવા તો જ નજર હતી. ભગવાનનું મંદિર હતું. આ ખુશી હતી અને ખાવા બનાવતી આગળ હતી રાઈટ. પણ એ અપાય નજર નહીં કરી. હું કીધું આ છે મને આગળ કાયરો શાકભાત ખાવું છે. કે ના હું બનાવું બેસ ખા. બીજું કશું એને એમ કે ગરમ કરીને ખવડાવું. હું કહું તું મને ઠંડુ આપી દે પણ તું મને ખાવા આપી દે.
એટલે હોટ થઈ ગયા.
હોટ જૂઠેરી બોલે તો બીજું કશું નહીં.
Okay. But you could have gone in the kitchen and yourself put something in your mouth. Would have been okay also, ne?
મેં ચતુર્માસ કર્યો છે ને
એટલે બેસીને
હું એક ટાઈમનું છું અને એને પૂછીને કર્યો છે કે ભાઈ તારે જો સાથ સહકાર આપવાનો હોય તો ચતુર્માસ કરો. બાકી મારે કરવો
સાથ સહકાર તો આપ્યો જ ને તમને.
મોડું કરે છે ને એના હિસાબે. અને ઘેર કોઈ છોકરો હતો નહીં એટલે ના 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 સાથ સહકાર આપવાનો હોય તો જ હું ચતુર્માસ કરું. સાથ સહકાર તો પહેલાં હું જો સાક્ષાત્કાર ખાલી એ ખાવાવાળાને આપે તો જ ખવાય.
ના ના તમને બનાવતો આવડે તમારે બનાવવાનું.
મને નહીં આવડતું. મને ખાતો જ આવડે.
Okay. Can I say in English for her? You want to say in English for her?
મને કંઈ મને નહીં ના કશો વાંધો નહીં. હા બોલો. ગુડ. મારું વિષય નીકળી જશે.
ના ના તમે જ બોલો ને.
મને ઇંગ્લિશમાં નહીં આવડે આમ કહું છું. બોલો.
Let us find out how much Gujarati and English he knows. એનજી તો ખબર પડી ગઈ ને.
એન્જિન ખબર પડી એમને ખબર પડી જશે.
Okay.
My wife cooking. I said yesterday you made, please give me. I am very hungry. She said, I am right now cooking. You this one eat.
Hot and fresh.
Fresh.
Not the cold, yesterday's cold, you know.
I am hungry. Whatever here right now, please give me. I said no. I am wait maybe 45 minutes. That I do.
So he was not happy. He was upset. That why didn't she not prepare the food when I came home from the job?
She wanted to make him fresh food.
My choice not fresh. I want only just food, home. But my wife choice, I give you fresh food.
So I gave him an option that why didn't you go in the kitchen and whatever was cold, eat. In the meantime, while she's cooking, you know. So he says they have taken a vow for these 4 months that if they sit, they eat. During that time, they don't get up. They just stay at one place until they are done finish. In India, they have like that system, you know, that once they sit down, then they eat. But once they are got up, you know, then done. Then done. They don't eat again, you know, until next day. He eats once a day, you know.
So that's why he cannot get up and eat and sit down.
So I was trying to help him to find some solution, but he says that she had agreed with me that she would cooperate for these 4 months, that he would eat only once while he's sitting down, and he would have food right when he's there, you know. Most of the time you get it, right? મોટા ભાગે તો બનાવીને તૈયાર હોય છે.
મને બહાર જવાનું તો બહારના જે ઘર બનાવ્યું તો ઘરે જ જમી જાય એવું હતું મને.
Yeah.
અને આજે થોડુંક મોડું થયું. મારે સમજણ રાખે તો મારી સમજણ રહી. હું આટલું બોલ્યો પછી બંધ જ થઈ ગયું. બીજું કશું આપણે
કરવાનું કોને કહ્યું? તમે
એમણે પણ she cooperated. She said that she would help.
She promised you to cooperate.
Yeah.
કારણ કે સંતો કહે છે કે તમે અમારું નામ ના દેવડાવશો. કારણ કે અમુક લેડીઝ કોણ સંતો બ્લેમ કરે. તમે કહ્યું આવો કરો છે ઘેર કે મને તકલીફ આવે. એટલે મેં પહેલેથી એને પૂછી લીધું કે ભાઈ સ્વામીજીએ આવું કહ્યું છે કે તમને ઘરે જો સાથ સહકાર મળતો હોય તો જ તમારે ચતુર્માસ કરવું કે તો જ તમારે આ કરવું બાકી કરવું નહીં. ઘણા ટાઈમ ઘણા વર્ષોથી હું તો કરું છું ઇન્ડિયાથી તોય કરતો છું અને આ મને સાથ સહકાર એને આપ્યો છે ત્યારે જ થાય છે બાકી થાય.
But there is another way. If you take the food from the kitchen, bring it to the table, sit down, now you eat while she is cooking, and you don't get up, and she brings the food again, hot food, is that okay?
ના એ કે મારું આ બનાવેલું કોણ ખાશે પછી તું કાલનું જ ખાઈ જઈશ. યસ્ટરડેનું છે તું ખાઈશ કે આ મારું બનાવેલું પાછું મારે કાલે આપવાનું છે ને તું બેસીને તારે અડવાનું જ નહીં એવું. બાકી હું જમી લઉં.
ના કંઈક પણ મારે થોડુંક જ ખાવું છે, યુ નો, અડધો કોરિયો, યુ નો, મારી ભૂખ જાય એટલું. આખું નહીં, ટોટલ, નોટ એ હોલ ડિશ, યુ નો. પણ એવી અતિશય ભૂખ લાગી હોય તો તમારું બી કામ થાય ને એનું બી કામ થાય. કંઈક મધ્યમ માર્ગ ખોળવાનો એમ. બોલો ગુસ્સો ના આવે એટલે. But best thing, like Masha said, you know, you have done Dhun, Swaminarayan, 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 Swaminarayan.
એ પછી બીજું સૂત્ર આવે, તું દિવ્ય તારા ભક્તો દિવ્ય, તું દિવ્ય તારા ભક્તો દિવ્ય, તો પણ શાંત થઈ જાય. અને શ્રી એમાં પ્રભુ જોવાના, એ નથી બોલતી, પ્રભુ બોલી રહ્યા છે, મારે સાંભળવાનું છે.
Right. If I was making food for you instead of your wife in your kitchen, and you say you are hungry, and if I would have said, no, wait until I make it, how would you have reacted with me? મારી સાથે કેવું તમે વર્ત્યા હોત? હું તમારા સ્મિતાબેનને બદલે હું ખાવાનું બનાવતો હોત તમારા ઘરે તમને જમાડવા માટે, અને તમે આવ્યા ને તમને ભૂખ લાગી હતી, તમે મને કહ્યું કે મને આપો ખાવાનું, અને મેં કહ્યું હોત કે ભાઈ હમણાં હું આ બનાવું છું, તમે બેસો, તો તમે તે વખત કેવું વિચારતા હોત?
પછી બીજું શું કર્યું? દાળ હતી ને તે કારણે જો રોટલી જ તને આપ એટલે ભાખરીનો લોટ છે લોટ ભાખરી જ આપને નાખી, કારણ કે ના કે હું રોટલી જ બનાવું. તે પછી થોડોક કે આપણે જે તે ભાખરી બનાવીને બનાવે પછી ભાખરી લોટ તૈયાર રાઈટ, તો રોટલીનો લોટ વધવાનો. તમે તો એ ના કરીશ તો મને આજ આપી દે, આ ચાલશે મારે, કારણ કે ના કે હું રોટલી જ બનાવું. પછી બે ત્રણ વખત કહ્યું ત્યારે ભાખરી બનાવી રેડી જ હતી. એનો પેલો કે ધારાને તીખી ભાખરી બહુ ભાવે, એટલે ધારા માટે તીખી ભાખરી બનાવી, કાંઈ દાળ બનાવી છે કે દાળ ભાત શાક રોટલી, કારણ કે રાજુને કહું રોટલી ખાવ.
એમના દિલમાં રોટલી હતી,
હા રોટલી,
એટલે તમે રોટલી જ ખવડાવો.
જે હોય એ મને આપો, હું ફ્લેક્સિબલ એટલો તો છું, જે હોય એ મને આપો.
ફ્લેક્સિબલ કંઈથી કહેવાય? ફ્લેક્સિબલ કંઈથી કહેવાય?
હું જે હોય એ ખાવા તૈયાર છું, તો ફ્લેક્સિબલ ના કહેવાય. મેં એવું થયું કે
તો રોટલી ખાવા તૈયાર છો?
ના, રોટલી એને બનાવવાની, રોટલીનો બહુ
પણ રોટલી બનાવીને ખવડાવે એ ફ્લેક્સિબલ કહેવાય.
ઓકે આવી એવું થશે.
દેવ ફ્લેક્સિબલ, તમે બી ફ્લેક્સિબલ ને બી ફ્લેક્સિબલ. Okay, let's finish. Huh? It's getting 8:30. So Bhagavan is saying, however, one whose mind remains unmoved, that is, it does not become hot upon experiencing repulsive vishayas and does not become cold upon experiencing pleasurable vishayas, should be known as Param Bhagavat Sant. But indeed, it is no small feat to cultivate one's mind in this manner. નાની વાત નથી આવું, મનને કંટ્રોલમાં રાખવું એ નાની વાત નથી. Then Bhagavan says, moreover, the mind is like a child. If a child attempts to grasp snake, would you allow the child to catch the snake? ખેતરમાં ગયા હો અને છોકરું ત્યાં સાપ ઘૂમતો હોય, તમે આગા પાછા થાય ને પેલો સાપ એની નજીક હોય, છોકરું સાપને પકડવા જાય ને તમે આવ્યા જોયું, તો તમે એને સાપ પકડવા દો? Will you allow the child to grab the snake? But child likes the snake, you know. છોકરાને તો ગમે છે. If a child attempts to grasp a snake or touch a flame, દીવો હોય કાં તો તમારી ઓવન હોય ગરમ ગરમ, રેન્જ, ઇલેક્ટ્રિક રેન્જ હોય ને ગરમ, so would you allow the child likes the red hot color, you know, and child wants to touch that red hot oven, would you allow the child? Why? Because child will get burned, right? That is how mind is, you know. And the third thing Bhagavan says, or perhaps hold an unsheathed sword, open sword, sharp sword, you know. Child wants to grab that. Knife, would you allow? Or gun, would you allow? No. But child is child. Child wants it. And if you don't allow it, child would cry, right? Similarly, but let's find out. After she made rotli and shak and everything, right? So did you do the prasad then? Third karyo? નોર્મલી થાળ કરો ને.
ના નહીં કોઈક દિવસ આ શિલ્પા ભાભી મારા આવ્યા હોય ને તે ઘરે કે ખાડો ભાભી મહારાજને થાળ કરો કે ખાડો રાખી દો
તમારે પેલું સહેલું થઈ ગયું, મહારાજ જમો હે.
મહારાજનું કમાના સંભાળું બધા સપ્લાસન બધા ખુશીઓ સંભાળી પછી જમો સ્વામી જમો બધું બોલું પછી જમો.
મહારાજ રૂપી દેવી નાના હતા ને તો પછી વસ્તુ આપણે મૂકી હોય તો પૂછે કારણ કે અમે ભરાઈને ખાતા હોય એટલે
સવારમાં ભગવાનને દૂધ બદામ અને પાણી ધરાવ હું પોતે હવામાં પણ આ જે થાળ બનાવે છે એ નહીં ધરાવે કારણ કે થતું જ હોય અને ખાતા હોય એટલે પછી આપણે એવું ના કરીએ પણ હવે એવું કંઈક કરીશું થાળ 2 રોટલી મૂકી પછી કરીશું.
બધા ભક્તોને ઘરે થાળ તો થવું જ જોઈએ પછી જ ખાવું.
Okay, let's go back here. So moreover, the mind is like a child. If a child attempts to grasp a snake or touch a flame or perhaps hold an unsheathed sword, it becomes upset when it is not allowed to do so. Child becomes angry, upset. And even if it is allowed to do so, it will hurt itself. Similarly, if the mind is not allowed to indulge in the Vishayas, it will become upset. If someone says, that don't do bad thing, but mind wants to do bad thing, would get upset, right? It becomes upset. If it is allowed to indulge in them, it turns away from God. Because if somebody is doing something so much liking, would forget the God, right? And just keep indulge into the sense gratifications, right? So either way, if a saint says no, the person would be mad. If saints allows, then person will forget God, So both ways, it is a lose-lose, right? He turns away from God and thus becomes extremely miserable. Therefore, only one whose mind has a craving for God, one whose mind has craving for God, just like craving for food. Craving for God, તમે ધૂન કર્યું હોત, માસાએ કહ્યું એમ સોમનારાયણ સોમનારાયણ સોમનારાયણ. ચાલો સારું થયું ભાઈ 15-45 કેટલી મિનિટ કહીએ ને 45 મિનિટ 45 મિનિટ સરસ ભજન થશે ભાઈ. અમે કહેવાનું નહીં 45 નહીં 60 મિનિટ તું કર, 1 કલાક હું ધૂન કરી લઉં. તો આખી whole situation will be positive, right? પછી no more exam. Whenever you come, she would have everything ready. You pass the exam.
આ સ્વાદ થઈ ગયો મને પહેલેથી કહું કે તું આ વસ્તુ બનાવું ને તો આ વસ્તુ તને બજારમાં મળે તો જ આ વસ્તુ બનાવજે, બાકી બનાવીશ નહીં. પણ પેલો જીવ એનો એવો હતો બનાવી જ દે. પછી મારે તને કહ્યું પહેલાં આ વસ્તુ લઈ આવજે સ્ટોરમાંથી, એ વસ્તુ ઘરે આવે પછી આ વસ્તુ બનાવે. પણ એ ના કરે પાછી ચાલો પણ હવે તમે કહ્યું છે એવું કરીશું જે છે એ બનાવી
એટલે તમે થોડા થોડા વધારે ઠંડા થશો ને તમારા કુશ સાથે તમારો પ્રેમ બી વધતો જશે. નહીં તો પછી કુશ બી તમારા જેવો ગરમ થવાનો. આપણે એના ડેડી જેવા ગરમ થવું જ કુશ? યુ વોન્ટ ટુ બી મેડ લાઈક ડેડ? નો. સો યુ ડુ થાળ, ભગવાનને થાળ તારે કરવો બધા. So, Bhagavan says, similarly, if the mind is not allowed to indulge in the Vishayas, it becomes upset. And if it is allowed to indulge in them, it turns away from God and thus becomes extremely miserable. Therefore, one whose mind has a craving for God and which becomes neither hot nor cold by the Vishayas should be known as a sadhu. આપણે એવા સાધુ બનવું છે. We want to become sadhu. Right? The roadway is explained here. આપણને સમજાવ્યું છે, right? આપણે એવું ટ્રાય કરવાનું. We try. Huh? Whenever we have problem, we do prayer and dhun. And we move one step ahead. Right? Today, he was not going to be here. I went to his home. And I brought him here. And whole story is,
ઘણા ટાઈમથી આમ હતું કે શંકરભાઈ ઘનશ્યામભાઈને ઘેર ગયા, અંકિતને ઘેર ગયા, શંકરભાઈને ઘેર ગયા, પછી બીજા કોના ઘરે ગયા હતા તે દિવસે 4-5 જણા ઘરે ગયા. મારે ઘેર કેમ મારે ઘેર કેમ ના 3-4 મિનિટ મારો આ શંકર પૂરો ઓચિંતા ગયા. રાઈટ ટાઈમ જે દિવસે તમે કરવા નથી બેઠો અમુક ચાલો.
I was reading this patrika here and walking back and forth. And Dhara came out. So I said, where are you going? She says, home. I said, can I drop you, in car? She said, no, I will walk. So then I got thought, that if she is alone and if she is walking, that's not good. So I said, okay, I will walk with you, and while I'm walking, I will read, so you can listen also. So I did not know the roadway where she was taking me, I was just following her. And I was reading, she was listening. We went all the way to his home. So then I was going to come back, but it was running late, close to 7 o'clock, So he said, let's take the car, and I'll come. પેલા સ્વપ્નિલની ગાડી પાછળ ગાડી હતી તમારી?
ચાવી આપી ને
Oh. Okay. Well, any question? કોઈને પૂછવું છે કશું આમાં? દિસ વચનામૃત? કંઈ વાત કરવી છે?
લાઈન લેમન બનાવ્યું ઘણા બધાના પકડાયેલા.
ઓકે. સજાનંદ સ્વામી મહારાજની જય. આરતી કરીએ. Yeah.